Tea is a common household drink. 83.3% of the class drinks it. Out of the people who drink it, most people drink it 1 to 2 times a day, about 1 to 2 cups. Think about it, that's a large amount of tea. Ever think about where it came from, what the process used to make it? The process itself is thousands of years old, about as old as mankind itself. It's a simple process, it only has 4 steps. First step is collection. Second step is drying your tea. Third step is crushing. And the fourth step is brewing and filtering. Now the first step of collection, you have to be quite knowledgeable about what you're doing. Because you got to know the types of plants you're using. There's many types of plants used for tea. And you got to be knowledgeable about the part of the plant you actually use. There's different parts of plants you can use. You can use the leaf, the root, the fruit. And you got to be knowledgeable about how you come about getting your plant. There are 2 ways to come about getting your plant. You can either cultivate your plant or forage your plant. And they each have a specific skill set. In both cultivating and foraging your plant, you got to know what the plant looks like and what part of the plants to use. Now, in cultivating plants, you got to know how to raise your plant. And in raising your plant, you got to know the water tolerance, shade tolerance of each plant, what types of soils it grows in, the time that you plant your plant, and the time that you harvest it. And any steps in between that you have to do, such as watering. Now, in foraging plants, you got to be familiar about where you find them at. The time of year you do forage for the plant, and you got to have area available for it. Now, the common plants people use for teas, the most common is green tea. Everyone's familiar with green tea. It's the most common use for like iced tea, what people put in from their drinks. A common forage tea is spearmint. Another common forage tea is wintergreen. After you collect your plant, you have to dry it. And you dry your leaves and your roots. You dry them in order so they can be crushed to make your tea. Now when you crush it in order to make the surface area of your plant greater inside your drink. It's like comparing sawdust to a log. If you compare the amount of sawdust particles actually touching the water compared to as if you stuck a whole log in the water, it's greatly increased. And that's why people just don't stick whole plants in teas. They stick crushed plants. And it makes it better infused into the water. And here's an example of some dry plants I have. This is wintergreen. It typically takes about a week to dry your plants. Some of them go quicker, some of them go shorter. Again, you gotta be knowledgeable about the plant you're using. Now, the exception to drying plants is when it comes to some fruits. Some fruits you actually soak in the water, and you crush them again, and you soak them, and you end up filtering them. And then there are a couple of plants with high surface areas already to them, like pine needles. People can make pine needle tea. A pine needle is pretty straight and thin, so it already has high surface area. There's no need to crush it. The same thing comes with some small twigs people make teas out of. They just put a bunch of small twigs in a cup of hot water and make a tea out of it that way. Now the crushing step is pretty simple. It's straightforward. You're crushing dry plants. There's no other way to say about it. And you do it in order to increase your surface area again. This can be done using your bare hands. You can take your dry plant, crush it to your palm. But some plants are tougher than others. Sometimes you got to use a mortar and pestle to crush your plants. Now these plants usually are typically evergreen plants, like such as wintergreen. Wintergreen's evergreen. And it makes it easier when you're just crushing your dry plants, and it makes it much finer. And the finer it is, the better it is for your tea. After crushing your plant, you got to know about storing it. And some plants can be stored for years. Others, shorter period of time. And I typically store crushed plants inside vials, such as this, in order to keep them dry. The more dry a plant is, the longer it can be stored. So you got to have a dry environment, and you got to know about the plant that you're using, because some of them go bad quicker than others. The last step of making tea is brewing and filtering. That's typically when you just put your crush plant in water. You let it sit and infuse into it. What you do is you bring your water to a boil, and you take it off the heat after it's boiling. You wait for it to be done boiling, and you add your plant in. And you let it sit for about 3 to 4 minutes, the amount of time typical of each plant. And then you filter it. There's specific types of filters. There's different types of filters you can use. People are familiar with coffee makers and things like that. But one type of filter you can use on almost any tea is your French press. Things familiar with the French press is pretty much a filter on the end that you press the whole way down. Filters the plant. After you let it brew, you just push your plant until it goes to the bottom. And then your tea's in the main compartment. Pretty much you just let it stand, and you can pour off a cup of tea. Like that. Now the shelf life for different teas are different. Some teas can last for like a week. Some of them go bad within a day. And also that depends upon what you add into your tea. If you add sugar into most teas, they will go bad quicker. Some teas can be kept very long periods of time if you can them. In the canning process, you just put them in a mason jar. I don't want to go over that, it's pretty long. But pretty much when you're making your tea, you have to be knowledgeable about the collection of your tea. And you got to know the types of plants you use for them. How to dry your tea, dry your plant after you collected it. How to crush it, and your brewing and filtering process. And there is an exception when it comes to it, and that's when using fruits. Some fruits you just soak in water in order to make your tea. Now you know where your tea comes from. Any questions?
So is that, you said that's wintergreen up there?
Yeah,
Did you pick that or did you buy that?
I picked this, so.
So, is it possible, will your tea last longer after you've crushed it and dried it and everything if you store it in the freezer? Because I know, like, we dry tomatoes, right, from the summer, we dry them in the oven, and then I store them in the freezer because they won't get wet that way, and if they aren't completely dry, that will prevent any bacteria from growing and, like, causing them to...
Yes and no. The thing is, if you put it in the freezer, every time you take it out to thaw it, it gets wet. And if you have a whole bunch and you keep doing that, it will mold. But if you have a completely dried thing and you keep pouring out a little bit at a time, it'll work. But if you have like different separate files, just a little bit frozen, it'll last real long.
Okay.
What's like the most common plant that's like found around this area used for
Making tea. Well, the most common plant used was green tea. Around this area, people homemade make spearmint a lot.